Just give it 1 second here. Let this all just catch up. You've
Live.
been busy though.
Mm, we have. And it's my busy season as a painter as well.
Oh, you're a painter.
Yeah, I own my own business. I do painting and wallpaper. I just started it about 4 or 5 years ago.
So it keeps you busy.
Yeah, scariest and the best thing I ever did.
Go
If
on
you ever,
your own.
you ever thinking about it, start a business. It's terrifying, but it's worth it. Fuck it. If I fall on my face, I'll just get up and go back to work.
That's what we say all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, guys, we're live again with Colin from CCIS. What a blessing to have him back on. Thank you, Colin, for jumping on with us. I know it's crazy for you, but we love having you on here on the Outdoor Drive.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here again to return, and we had a great time. And as always, it's really nice to hear from you guys.
Yeah. So what's been new with you, Colin? Anything new and exciting going on in the world of the Cryptids?
Yeah. So we've been out the last several days, going around in our area, sort of in between work, stopping and checking places out, and even visiting some of our old stomping grounds, places you would never, like, I would never think I'm going to find activity. There's a place in White Memorial that I go to just to chill, right? It's just a short drive down my house. To me, it's spectacular, but maybe to the average person, it's not like Niagara Falls or nothing. It's just tannic water and chill. Um, During the several days here, we've come across some pretty interesting tracks.
Really? Anything new and like is it new findings or something that you've seen before?
This is all within the last week. This
Hmm.
is hot off the press.
So kind of get right into it. Let explain what you're finding. What are these tracks of?
All right. Well, as always, they're tracks. Unfortunately, now I wasn't prepared for a full field investigation. I was just out hiking. We do several things. I don't know if you know this, but we do something called on location, where we just go and check a place out. We're so new to this place, we're not looking for anything at all because we would be distracted, right? We'd
Hmm.
stop, and so we want to go to a destination, a lookout point, or a tower, or some kind of foundation. I found mines the other day that were really cool. So that's on location, and then there's investigations, and then there's just when after work we'll just go and sit. A camera person and I will go and sit by a river or something. So during the course of that, we had one field investigation, one on location, and one just chilling out.
Hmm.
Isn't it? It's kind of fun to actually relate to that too, Colin, because I mean, I can only speak for myself, but it seems like I always get into some stuff. I don't plan on getting into some stuff. So, like, oh, I'm just going to go run out and check a trail camera real quick, and I'll leave my backpack at the truck, and then I'll get back there and I'll be like, oh, I wish I had all my stuff with me. Like, I was planning on getting into some stuff. You know what I mean?
I do. In fact, a lot of times when and this is really weird, when we're just on location and just checking a place out, could be anywhere, a robin swamp or anywhere. And we're not even doing any call taps or howls, and we'll hear this very many miles away, distant, loud apex howl. I'm still trying to figure that out because we haven't done anything. We're at a place maybe we've never been to before, and there's howls. It's crazy.
That is nuts. And
It's nuts.
when now I guess when you're going there to chill, are you in the same spot that you would be looking for those howls, like trying to get responses, or no? Totally
No,
different spots.
no. There's this little place I go to. It's got a couple. If you check out our last couple videos, you'll see it's in the White Memorial. This place, and it's just how crazy is this? It's just called the Nature Trail. It's really for kids, but the tannic water reminds me of my hometown in Maine that has only tannic water, and it's just a nice, quiet place. There's a lot of birds. So I wasn't, we were in there just relaxing, just enjoying nature. I know that when you watch our videos, we're sort of gung ho. It's about getting out there, but sometimes we're just there, just not looking for anything.
Mm.
And a lot of times, especially for somewhere new, we're getting howls in the distance. It's crazy.
So there's been a couple of new spots that have been opened up, and you've started to investigate it. How do you crack these spots open, and really start to investigate what's going on there?
What I like to do when I approach a spot like this, we just did Prospect Mountain Preserve in Litchfield off of Cat Hole Road. It has three different entrances, and this is where he found the mines. When I approach a place like that, if we're fortunate to have a kiosk with the legend and the map and everything, you've seen our videos,
Mm-hmm.
you guys. I make a big deal about that because that sort of already gives me a frame of reference of, am I going to see wetlands? Am I going uphill? What's the distance? Is there water? That's always important. Is there water? Water is the key, and stuff like that. Is there a landmark I can go to? Like in Prospect Mountain, there are some pretty impressive mines there. And I'm a rock hound, so I'm kind of used to mining. These were incredible. These were really cool.
Do a lot of cryptids hang around in the rocks?
Oh, there is a strong relation to, especially in Appalachian, Kentucky, and West Virginia, of Bigfoots and dogmen associating with caves, of course, because they're going to maintain a constant temperature. If you get deep enough, constantly 55 degrees if you're covered in hair. But there is, even going back into the Ice Age, animals, cave bears and stuff, all large animals are going to gravitate towards caves. And mines are artificial caves, and they sort of have the same characteristics. And so I'm going to say, yes, you get near caves and mines and stuff, you're going to increase your chances of an encounter.
So that you think that Bigfoot and Dogmen, they are trying to find these areas to survive. Those are homes for them then in those areas.
Absolutely. A Prospect Mountain Preserve I had never been to, and a customer that I work for, um, the boyfriend told me about this place. He likes cross country skiing. And so I was like, yeah, okay, it's going to be okay. Well, I was blown away by the place. It's got three different entrances. I wasn't prepared for it to be so large. It's only about 5 miles from my house. Very convenient. And so the fact that there's a series of mines, and they're mining iron, copper, silver, some crazy metals back in the day in the late 1800s, till the mine was no longer profitable, and they just abandoned it.
Mm.
Then groundwater filled it up, so you got these deep artificial ponds. It's just really cool, and it's really unusual for Connecticut. Our mines tend to not look like that, almost just like pulled away hills. But this
Hmm.
was a mine with an arch, and everything was really cool.
So, and you, I saw that you had gone to another new place. What was there any findings that were equal to or better than um the one in Litchfield?
So I think all three places, except for the one in Morris, and we'll send you the link. I keep forgetting the name, but we were there as this place just opened to the public. We were actually some of the very first people. Humphrey Farm
Humphrey.
Preserve in
Yep.
Morris. Okay, and some guy pulled in from, he was obviously a local. I think he might have even been from the town. He had a green truck. He had that look about him. And he said, "Oh, did they mark the trails?" And I explained to him, "No, we haven't been in yet, right? This is great." So he's sort of going on, and I'm explaining, "No, we haven't been there yet. We're first here, and we're gonna go squatch this place, right?" And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm a knucklehead. This is normal conversation because that's how I talk to people that know me. And this guy just got a really odd look, and he just started to pull, like, back away. And all he wanted to know about was trail markers. And I said, no. Basically, I'm like, no, we're about to squatch the hell out of this place. Oh my
He's
god,
like, "You're gonna do what? Where?"
oh yeah, and that's gonna be a thing I do from now on. You know, if I meet people at trailheads or something, I'm gonna be like, no, I'm gonna squatch this place.
Yeah, we're going to squatch this place. Watch out.
Put a sign at the gate, caution, squatching in progress.
I don't care at this point anymore. You know,
What do you get a lot of weird reactions? Like, is that a normal thing when you tell somebody that you're out there squatching, like that you're trying to investigate on X, Y, and Z? Like, is that what is like the weirdest encounter that you've had?
no, that guy was unusual. Most of the time, if I take the time to sort of explain it,
Mm,
people are fascinated. Most people, I would say a good 80% of the people have stories and they want to talk and they want to
right.
tell me about it. Tell me their
Hmm.
father saw this and that. You know, you talk about dogmen, and like my grandfather used to talk about something like that, but it didn't have a name.
Right. And it's funny that you say that because both me and Steve had a ton of listeners that had tuned into the podcast over, a couple weeks time after we had released it on the regular platform and reached out with us with stories. We had friends in
Hmm.
Virginia that were hunting and they had, loud noises near livestock, and I know Steve had a bunch of people that had said stuff, and we had other squatchers reach out to us. So like this is, it's not a big talked about thing, but that's why we like to talk about it because we need to get this information out and people need to hear what's going on.
I agree. And when we're out there, it's nothing but positive reception. I might have caught this gentleman off guard. He asked me a question, and I sort of asked him a question, you know, and he just wanted to know this brand new place, which, by the way, you know, it's too short. It wasn't very squatchy, but there was a cool abandoned truck in there from back in the day, and it was all right. But the fact that we got there first, we did find this is really weird. In the middle of this preserve, you know, acres and acres in at this point, we find a Nike golf ball, number two,
Hmm.
in
Mm.
a forest.
Found a lot of golf balls in weird places too,
What
Colin.
the hell? What
I
the hell? So,
know. And I'm a golfer. I know how far I can hit a golf ball, and
Right.
they are way too far in the woods to be. I don't know. I'm gonna start documenting it because I do find enough golf balls to like take notice to wonder why there's a golf ball here.
guys, if you could save them for
Yeah,
us,
I will.
and you guys, when I my next convention, you guys want to jump on with
Yeah,
us?
You have
of
convention.
course.
Oh hell yeah! Do maybe something live there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, though, Colin, you got me thinking now. So I think I'm going to steal that trick from you though, because a lot of times when I'm on public land, scouting deer, scouting turkey, shed hunting, I don't really want people to know what I'm doing. Like, I don't want people to like, oh, he's looking for deer or he's hunting, because then they get nosy and they start looking around. And so I'm just going to start telling everybody I am squatching back here. I'm squatching the hell out of the swamp. So stay
Absolutely.
stay out.
Yeah, both of you guys, I encourage you to do that because there's no closed season, there's no license required. It's supposedly, at least in the northwest, you know, parts of America, it's a protected animal, which that
Mm,
tells you a lot, right?
mm.
Um,
That
I
actually,
think it's just great. The reaction you're going to get is great.
I have a question. So last time you were on, it just happened to be a coincidence where something came up about patch hog, and you were like, "Dude, trail two," and
Trail
it
two.
just so happened that the day after we recorded, we were camping on trail two. Um, this weekend we're heading up to the Farmington River. Do you have any stories about that area that we
And
should
Oh,
know about?
oh, we do.
Oh boy.
We have not far from two. So the People's State Forest, we had our own sort of distant call responses, but a gentleman from the military sent us photographs in the winter of some tracks. So that's our own
In Peoples?
People's State Forest. Yeah, he
Oh.
wasn't. Yeah, he was in that general parking area, you know, that has the facilities and the pavilion, and so he went uphill from there, and we've been there, and he sent us some footprints. But we have a much more interesting encounter, not far from the Farmington River, in Simsbury, Nodbrook Wildlife Management Area, I believe. Are you guys familiar with this place?
very familiar. Yep. I've walked it. I've turkey hunted it. Yep.
So it has the dog kennel thing there, right?
Yep, yep.
So in that area, this gentleman sent us a report, and it's very similar to one that we have in the Harrington Wildlife Management Area over by the DEP headquarters. What is Rorabeck Wildlife Management Area? These two are almost the same. These guys are fishing in the pond. It's getting late. Most people have left, and so I'll stick with Nodbrook. Okay, the guy's hearing these howls and stuff. He's got his dog, which is a German Shepherd, I believe, a large dog, with him. And this dog is, as he describes it, it's not usually scared of anything, and it starts whimpering. And apparently, there's some sort of bridge there or something. I have never been to this
Mm-hmm.
place.
Yeah, there is to get down towards the river. Yeah, where they train the dogs.
Okay, so he's away from the bridge, and he sees something in the bridge, and he's like, "Okay, that's a big person." That's well, how I reacted. Your first reaction tends to be that's a very large person. But then he realized that this thing was sort of standing up into the high areas of this bridge. Now, I don't have this exact report on hand. Um, but he stayed and fished for a little while. And I give him credit for that. If he had tackled Bigfoot, he'd get that $5 reward we have going, right? Bring him in live. You have to tackle him, no weapons. But he had a really long encounter. This thing was howling and tapping and stuff until finally the dog was so freaked out. As he reported that he wanted to stay fishing, but it was getting dark, and the dog was so scared that he had to leave that area. So if you're over there, that's our Farmington River evidence. I go there a lot. What brings you guys over there? I'm just curious. I'm not far from the river.
We're going fishing on the Farmington River this weekend. Do a little camping, a little fishing, a couple of us. And it's funny is every time that you like Steve had said, every time we have you on, we're going camping into the big woods. Last time, literally, we stayed on trail number 2 and we did some squatching and some calling. We drove around and we did get a response. So it was fun. It was an absolute blast.
You guys can consider yourselves official CCIS investigators.
Really?
Hell
Nice.
yeah. Definitely.
Certified.
Hell yeah.
The
Hell
Colin
yeah. Anywhere you
certified
go.
us right here on the Outdoor Drive. We are
You
now.
guys have your license, unlike my friend Richard Sear. Okay. And as you've watched our videos, his license is being held up in Pyongyang, North Korea, and it doesn't look good.
Oh boy.
And we
Well,
joke about it, but
so
you guys definitely
keeps a
consider
squatch?
yourselves part of the team.
He's an illegal squatcher until he gets his license.
He is. He
Oh,
is. He has to go with me. He's on squatch
probation.
probation. Yeah, that's squatch probation.
Colin.
So
So last time you were on, I don't remember talking about this particular creature, but the Glaucus. I saw
the glow,
recently. Say it again.
the glowwacus.
Okay. So I saw a while back you were pushing to make it the official cryptid of Connecticut. You want to
Yes.
talk about that a little bit?
Well, I do believe it should be. I was actually, we got a couple people that we talked to about this because I believe I forget which state, Washington, Oregon, or one of those states, and I think it's, I think it's Washington. They want to make Bigfoot the official cryptid of the
Oh,
state. That
I
would
thought
make
California.
them. Was it California? Okay,
It was definitely
California.
it was definitely California, Oregon, Washington, but I thought it was California.
We're gonna go with California. So, they want to make Bigfoot the official cryptid. If they do that, they're going to be the first state in America to have an official cryptid.
Oh.
Um, so we here at CISA thought about this. We're like, well, why does the government, I guess with all their power and money that they can, do that, make that the official? And we just over here in CISA like, well, let's beat them to the gun because anything in any government bureaucracy is going to take 2 to 5 years. And we're like, well, let's just get together over a pizza, which is, by the way, Connecticut's the the capital of America's pizza. So we got together over good, real pizza, a Connecticut pizza. We discussed this. I was going for the Black Dog of Meriden, but I was shot down because that exhibits supernatural things. It barks and you can't hear it. It leaves footprints, and it has all this first time for joy, second time for sorrow, third time, first time for joy, second time for sorrow, third time for death, whole thing. And that was shot down too supernatural, not a real cryptid. So the Gloacus, we wanted to make something very specific to Connecticut. The Winstead Wildman had come up, and some others. But the Gloacus was the singular one that is a biological cryptid that has historical reports and was centered around Glastonbury. It was like this very large fisher cat. I would describe it between a fisher cat and sort of a mountain lion. Okay. They
Mm.
didn't have the benefit of all the electronics we have, so they couldn't document this thing properly. And of course, you got to go back in the day. Connecticut would have been a lot more deforested than it is today. There would have been more agriculture. So this Gloacus was exhibiting all the kind of stuff Chupacabra does, raiding livestock, killing things, making crazy noises, scaring people, chasing people. There was big hunts for this thing. This was a big deal in Glastonbury. Like the whole town, this was the history is crazy that they organized these searches for this thing. Could have been a fisher cat. But to answer your question, we decided on that, the Gloacus. And the name stands for Glastonbury, wacky, and then the Latinized us, like any other, like, Julius. So
Mm.
Gloacus is the Glastonbury monster. And so that CCIS, we just did it. We're like, hey, the official cryptid of Connecticut, it's too late. The state's going to have to roll with it anyway at this point, right? What else
Yeah.
do they got? Right. Seville, which is the sort of those manatee things I was talking about in Seville Dam. Those are interesting.
What about the puck wedgie? Were they in the conversation for official? Those are my favorite.
My favorite too.
They were, but we realized that that's sort of Massachusetts turf.
Mm.
They're going to claim that with their whole Bridgewater Triangle, and we don't have nearly the history enough evidence to back that up. I would have
Mm.
preferred something like that. The Gloacus was kind of there, wasn't there. It was there for a little while, and then it disappeared. No one's ever sort of reported it again.
Although I will say this, there's a huge debate amongst Connecticut with mountain lion sightings, and some people swear they've seen them. Some people say they're here. Some people swear we don't have them. Right? It's an ongoing debate. What if it's the Glaucus the whole time, and that's
Mm.
really what people are seeing?
Or
And so I agree with you there. There's so many. Could have been a mountain lion, could have been a fisher cat. There's so many could haves. And these animals back then would have been so driven out by, the habitat deprivation. There was just no place for them. If something did stray, it's going to go for livestock. If it was a mountain lion and they weren't used to that, and let's say there was a gap of 50 years, maybe some of the old timers would have known, um, or even fisher cats or any of those. It probably was, like you're saying, a known animal misidentification.
mm.
You always gotta go back to that.
And is there what are some of the stories about the Glaucus that they've seen or
So it would raid livestock in Glastonbury, and it would sort of haunt towns. This thing would be nocturnal mostly. It people were then scared to go into what forest there was. There was a actual people were scared of this thing. Families wouldn't want their children to be out past dark. And so the town set up, and neighboring towns, Hebron and other towns, got together on this and did like a search of the local forest and farmlands looking for this thing. And they never found it.
so how far has it stretched from the Glastonbury area? Like I know that there's some stories of some livestock getting attacked probably 10 years ago in the Columbia area where they actually had on the back of a horse there was like claw marks on the back of a horse. Would it be of that size to be able to jump on the back of a horse?
It certainly would be able to jump. From all the reports I read, give me a second, guys. It would be able to jump, and it did exhibit that. It was described as dark brown, but then again, a mountain lion or anything is going to appear dark brown as it gets darker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there are those types of reports. So the overlap here. So were there others? After the Connecticut, and this is interesting, sort of all the reports in Connecticut sort of died out. They were starting to appear in upstate New York.
Mm,
Very similar stories. And I believe they also called it the Glowwalkers. So this thing might have been on the move.
Migrating.
Yeah, it could have been heading up north to get into some forest. It sounds to me like something that's going to want, like any of the weasel families, right? Or even the big cats. They're
mm,
going to want trees. They're not going to want to be exposed, as you guys know very well.
right. But doesn't that cross over with like the dogmen and stuff, like attacking a lot of livestock and whatnot? Is it in the same family?
It does overlap with the dogman because of agriculture, but the reports were much smaller and always quadrupedal. This thing was always on all fours, so it was didn't seem to exhibit any bipedal characteristics,
Okay. Yeah.
which that separates it then from dogman because the whole issue with dogman is that it does exhibit bipedal characteristics
Hmm.
and is much larger.
So us all as hunters and fishermen and outdoorsmen, like, is there any of the cryptids that we should be on the look for? Because we do travel into the woods a lot when it's dark. Like, is there anything that we should be precautioned? And we're always off trail too, so there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, off trail is real interesting. I would. Do you guys look out for? We talked. Do you look out for structures now? Are you looking for teepees and are you finding the snap, like the limbs of maple trees snapped above your head, like twisted and snapped? And
Mm-hmm.
are you following those, like to look for another one where the point is? And remember, that could be like a clock, right? So that tree on this 45, the broken part can be pointing in any direction. And if you follow those straight, you're more than likely to encounter another one. And you can get into some interesting stuff. Off trail, deep forest where you guys go, I would say you're going to encounter dogmen around your farms, wildlife management areas that have, sort of that agricultural edge, maybe cornfields, like Rora Beck has cornfields. As you get into deeper forest, you're into squatch and puckwedgie territory.
I want to
We
see
just
it
got to
so bad. I
you got to listen. You got to start leaving them gifts.
I did.
Chocolates.
Last
Oh,
hunting season, I was leaving them gifts everywhere I went.
me too.
Pennies and little chocolates.
That's the stuff.
Yeah.
And
Um, I thought the dog man was more like northwest or northeast corners. Is it more spread out?
Wow. If you go on to, there's a guy on YouTube called Dark Waters. Okay. He has the most interesting migratory map. So if you just looked at Dark Waters, Dogman migration, that's fascinating. I was just enthralled by that. Dogman is sort of, I mean, it's this new star. Everybody wants to know. We've been hit over the head with Bigfoot since the 50s, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, we get it. Footprints. And, he's sort of he's big and sort of docile, wants to be left alone. Dogman is much more interesting. Let's say you want to make a movie. You're going to want to make a Dogman movie. I mean, this thing likes scaring you, right? So the popularity is really, really rising with Dogman. It's sort of the new superstar. But you're asking, is there overlap? So from the Great Lakes, Bray Road, all that, there is a little bit. But when I watched the Dark Waters Migratory Path, and you guys are going to really like this, I suggest you get that. You should even try for him, man. That guy's a superstar. You should try for him.
What's his
Tell him
name?
I said. Dark Waters. All right. He's got the whole dogman migration map thing, and this guy's smoking cigarettes and he's swearing like a sailor. So just
Perfect.
understand, we don't do that because we have a lot of kids that follow us. Um, but he nails it, dude. So it's really interesting. So there's seasons. I mean, I don't know where this. Oh, he does describe how he got this information. He takes out small ads. He pays for these. He listens to all these encounters. He's got a BS file and an interesting file. So he got into this whole migration of Dogman and how they do come up here, and then they'll spend a lot of the summertime up here because it's moderate temperatures. But when they leave, This is crazy. And I had never heard this. And there's parts of the country that are barren, like northern Texas and all that area. Sort of very few reports. But so you could just see where the green patches all through the Appalachians are hot spots up in New England, the Great Lakes, where all the greenery is. Um, they're hurting, according to him, and I agree. I agree 100%. To me, he had the most conclusive thing I ever saw. That they're hurting deer and then forcing them to go down south in their later winter migrations so they have a food source. They bring these deer through the desert or through, let's call it the biological desert areas where there's not a lot of deer, and they herd them through there. And if you're hunting that, you're messing with them. They're going to show you some real aggressive stuff. So, yes, I agree with him that there are times of the year when you're going to have a very likely chance right now, according to him and his maps. And I agree. Again, I agree. They're up here right now. This is a good time.
This is the dog man swing right now. This is where
Oh, they go up into Vermont and stuff too. Like probably as you get into August, I really think you should check this out. And I'll try to send you I will send you the link. They're going to go as it gets extreme hot, way up into the mountain areas up there. Get themselves some nice bucks and stuff, and start herding them down.
so
And
What gifts can you do? Do they like pennies too? What do you leave them?
oh man, you're gifting dog man. I
ooh.
have never heard of such a thing. I guess I would leave them salmon and chickens and stuff. I wouldn't leave them any. They're not going to be interested in any chocolates or gifts like that. No copper, nothing.
Hmm.
Cause I mean, Squatch, he even likes pumpkins.
Of course, yeah. So all there are 89 hominids, right, that we know of. 89 taxonomic hominids. So we're one of them. All of us are omnivores. Every single one of us, from gorillas to spider monkeys. We all will be carnivores. We will all be vegetarians. Whatever's available, we're gonna go for it.
It's and so the dog man, there's nothing that you can level with him on and gift to him. He is just the apex predator of all.
I mean, if you go into Dogman Encounters Radio with Vic Cundiff and check out Dark Waters, those guys got a much better grasp of Dogman than I do. But now that's a really good question. Gifting Dogman, they do. I mean, they open doorknobs and stuff. They will purposely scare kids and not hurt them. They'll open car doors, live in barns. I see no reason why you couldn't, if it's displaying intelligence,
Right.
albeit canine intelligence, but like our own, okay, but still canine, still different. There's no reason you couldn't develop a relationship with some. And I've heard some of the stories from Vic Cundiff's Bigfoot, Dogman Encounters Radio. Make sure you get the real one. I mean, he's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of all eyewitness encounters. And some of them are a little more peaceful than most. It's against, and some of them are very violent. I mean, extremely violent. Like, and
To what
it's
degree?
crazy to the degree that these people are shooting at them. Like, and there was a incident in Kentucky. This guy called in, and his family had this farm, and this guy inherited this farm, and him and his uncle down were trying to fix it up, and his uncle's telling him, like, when these things come, and that's always people that have these encounters that aren't into this stuff the way we are. They don't have a name for this. They haven't done the research. They don't know about popular culture. Of course, you know about Bigfoot. We've been hitting that, for 60 years, 70 years now. Dogman's sort of new. And so, but the uncle will say, when these things come, shoot their feet and knees. That's
Well,
crazy.
why take them out at the kneecap?
Because the shots are ineffective in the torso for whatever reason,
Hmm.
unless you're using military grade hollow points. One of the most recent reports on YouTube right now, a hot one, is this guy. This truck driver had this thing on him, and he had some heavy weaponry and was able to shoot this thing and it drag it into the woods. And then some creepy people showed up without ID, asking him questions, talking about their asset.
Mm.
You killed
Like
our
that,
asset.
it's like that werewolf with the silver bullet.
You know what? Yes.
Mm.
Holy crap. I never thought about that. So yeah, your modern comparison would be, and this guy's a truck driver, so he's got this thing's looking in the window, just like the hospital guys in Pomfret, and he's got this pistol right up to this thing's freaking eyeball, and that's how close range it is. Shot his window out to get rid of this thing.
What happened in Putnam?
So he told the last. Tell again.
Oh,
Pomfret, the Pomfret with
Wasn't it chasing a school bus or something like that?
the ambulance drivers that
There you
showed
go.
up multiple town incident. Yeah, and these
mm.
guys were chased by a bunch of teenage dog men.
Are they pretty much the most violent of them all?
Man, yeah, I'm gonna go with yeah. That's the one, especially the big guys, right? The big,
Right.
terrifying, and the reports are up to 12 feet tall. Those guys, those apex males, let's because I don't think females are gonna exhibit that kind of. They're gonna be more, like coyotes. They're canine. They're pack
Right.
animal. But these
Mm.
big guys, they're very aggressive. I mean, some of them are outright dangerous.
So what? They're bipedal. So what is it? Like dog upper body, human lower body, legs, or is it just
According
all
to
dog standing up?
so what I learned from and I'm no expert. I have to learn from people just like you guys do. Like Vic Cundiff's Dogman Encounters Radio. According to him, so far he has documented 6 different types. Some are seem to be dedicated quadruped. They're going to be on all fours most of the time.
Mm.
And then again, there are others, these big warrior types, that are just humongous, 12 feet tall, ripped, that are just mostly bipedal. So it's interesting because you take Bigfoot, there's just Bigfoot. The variations might be in size and color of the hair. As you get older, you're going to get hair like this. You might get a report of a white, you know, we're hominids, so our hair is going to go gray. You might get redheads and blondes, but they're going to be anatomically the same. But dogmen appear to have 6 iterations of themselves
Hmm.
or more. I'm going to say more because the reports are just the reports, but usually in nature, there's more.
I wonder if they're like milk bones,
Like, what's that?
little like a dog treat, like a little milk bone.
It's funny you say that because when we did the Black Dog of Meriden investigation, and I had seen him once, we thought we'd leave him dog biscuits, and
Did it
I
work?
talked about this on your last show, so I won't get into that right now.
The only thing I would worry about with Dogman is like leave him a little milk bone and like insulting him and just make him more mad.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I don't want
You're
you.
dealing with something that's usually described as pre pissed off.
Yeah.
I usually just leave him. I leave him gut piles from deer. That
Yeah.
usually makes him happy.
They do. Do you hear coyotes afterwards on the way out?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So if
It's
you listen to
always gone the next day.
if you listen to coyote howls, really pay attention. Not just the coyotes are going. If you listen to the very first howl, that's your big boy. And there are reports of dogmen. They get the prime cuts. They get the first shot at this stuff, and then the coyotes will get them, almost like pets. And interesting because Bigfoot has the same reports of coyotes as pets. And I wouldn't say pets, I would say symbiotic.
Right. Is that a normal thing though for them to have them, or symbiotic to have them, kind of working with them?
Yes, that's very common. It's
Hmm.
reported quite a bit. We don't get a whole lot of dogman reports. Most of what I get are Bigfoot reports and then just weird stuff, really weird stuff. So majorities Bigfoot. The reports of dogmen that I do get are that one came from Mr. Haunted, so a shout out to him, Jimmy Petitino. You guys should get him. He's worked with the Warrens. He's really cool, real character. He's got books out. He gave us the Dogman report.
Mm.
But the Dogman reports I get are when I'm wearing. I have a couple. I have my CCIS T-shirt. People will talk to me then. But I have one of a Dogman, and time and time again, people will say, "I saw that. I saw that," and they don't describe it as a werewolf. Doesn't come off when you see this thing biologically. This whole nonsense of werewolves that gets dropped immediately. You
Mm.
know, I mean, okay, so shape shifting, we went into that. Flounder do it, all kinds of animals do it, moths do it. Shape shifting in nature is no big deal. But interspecies from a hominid to a canine, I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. That's the mythology, because that was the easiest way to explain bipedalism in any animal. It could be the large cat species in some of the Native Americans or South American traditions where you turn into a jaguar. Okay. That's just a way to explain how these things can be bipedal.
Hmm.
Back in the day, that would have been the easiest way to say, well, that's just a shaman or somebody, a rougarou, shapeshifting.
Mm.
Mm.
I have a
But
side.
in nature,
Oh,
it doesn't work that way.
I have a side thought to go back to. We got to get this. We got to get this dog man on here. What's to say that Dogman and the Coyotes are not working together? But like, what if like I'm thinking like hyenas with like a lion. Like maybe the coyotes are just following them around and like picking up the scraps or whatever he leaves behind for like an easy meal.
That was kind of my thoughts too when I had said that, like working together, like for sure.
Yes, until you get into the reports where the coyotes will follow the dog man afterwards.
Mm.
They'll be
Yep.
seen
But they,
with
could they?
their own kills. They'll be seen. They'll be seen chasing this thing down, the deer. Dogman doing the primary kill, taking what it wants, and then letting the coyotes eat it,
Oh, okay, that's
staying
different.
there with it. And then when everything's done, they move away as an entire pack.
So a
Mm.
lion hyena type thing. The lion does the dirty deed, gets what he wants, and then the hyenas come in behind him, and then you have the vultures, and it's same in that pecking line. But now it's dogmen, coyotes, crows, right?
Except that the coyotes are staying with the dogmen.
Oh.
Hmm.
They're again. There's a symbiote. They're when the dogmen, they'll do the kill. They'll get what they want, and they stay there with the pack while the coyotes will eat, or the wolves in some cases. And then when this is over, and these are the direct. These are not my encounters. You can get all this stuff online. Sounded pretty credible. And then they move away. The pack will move away as a single unit.
But is there others that follow around in that pack, that pecking order, that like with them to eat?
Well, I mean, if we're talking animals, like you said, all of the scavengers are going to go from there. But as far as sticking with the cryptids, that's pretty much the limit. Canine with canine, except for the cases of Bigfoot, um, doing the same sort of thing, working with them. And for whatever reason, I really don't know the benefit to a Bigfoot for that. I can understand a dogman, a canine, the benefits, um, but really, you know, Bigfoot. Those are the reports. I just don't doesn't. I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around this one.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy though, Like I didn't know if there was other that were aggressive like that, that cryptids that, because it seems as all the other ones are pretty friendly. Your puck wedgies, your hide behinds. Some of those are very passive, not aggressive. A lot of cases where they're more friendly than ever. Than the others.
The puck wedgies, unfortunately, up here in our area, they exhibit a lot of really dangerous behavior. That you're getting into some supernatural stuff, so I sort of veer off from that. I have no problem. And again, now I need to say this because people get mad at me when I say this. Really, a lot of responses, people are like, no, and I have to say it, and I'm saying it crystal clear here to you and your audience. It's just what I believe. It's just my frame of mind. I'm not ruling supernatural behavior out, portals, any of that, okay? Disappearing. I'm not ruling any of that out.
Right.
As far as CSIS goes, we're staying in biology. So puck wedgies, I have no problem with them being small hominids, highly intelligent, maybe an uncalcified pineal gland. We got into that. So they might have some telepathic abilities. Um, but, they around here in the history, it started with the Native Americans. And then, of course, we come in tearing forests down and stuff like that, just made it even worse. So our relationship with them and the natives in the New England area is not good, and they have done some really bad stuff. Some of the reports are pushing people off of this, you know, the cliffs in Freetown State Forest up there in the whole Bridgewater Triangle thing. As you get to the Great Lakes, there's a much better relationship. But I will say this, our personal CSIS relationship with these guys, we constantly, like you guys, are leaving them gifts, hoping to. I don't really know how to communicate with these guys. They seem to want, if they want to communicate, they're going to approach you.
Hmm.
But it doesn't stop us. I was in, so we were in that Prospect Mountain Preserve, and there are a series of glacial erratics that make, and this is where the mines are as well, right? The rocks there, the glacial erratic granites are just crazy impressive, and they make these sort of artificial caves. Caves go into the earth. These are made by rocks, a little bit different, but they exhibit the same behavior. And the larger ones, nothing. I mean, some acorns, but the ones that I had a hard time crawling into, and if you go check out the video, that one had this incredible smell of urine. Like it was powerful. Like, wow. Now, of course, that could have been a raccoon or, any number of small animals, anything. But I was just like, wow. And so that's the first time I encountered a really powerful odor. And then as I got into the bigger ones where I could stand up, no, none of that. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm going to say, yeah, puck wedgies are not super friendly. If you don't want to mess with them, you want to stay. If you're going to try to develop a relationship with them, I think it can be positive. I think it's just like us. They're going to take it on an individual basis. So
Hmm.
keep leaving your gifts, your chocolate, your copper, stuff like that are useful to them.
That's the one I want a relationship with is the puck wedgies. I would like to have a couple of those hanging out with me for sure.
What
Um,
you want to do is if you get some kind of like EMF recorder or something, when you leave the gifts at like do the EMPs, the electronic EVPs, the electronic voice phenomena stuff.
yeah.
We brought our friend Nick Roastman out with us, and he got some. One of the responses was "I am chief" in a cave. According to him, there shouldn't have even been any electromagnetic frequencies in that cave. It should not have
So
registered
wait, hold
any
on.
sounds.
So he left gifts for the puck wedgies in the cave
He
with the
left.
with the recorder, and then came back after with the recorder, and they got a message that says "I am chief."
No, so he went with CSIS. So this is on video. If you go way back, look, you got to go way back. And we were in Mohawk Mountain with Nick Roastman, and we went into the pine, or we went into the spruce bog, which is the only peat bog in Connecticut. We started there, got some interesting stuff, and then we moved a little bit up into some more rocky, more glacial erratic stuff on the other side where people don't frequent, and that trail goes into the D town.
Mm,
Did I
mm.
mention it or
We're gonna
not?
talk about that.
Yeah. No detail.
So that trail is, it goes into some crazy woods, and in those glacial erratics, we left our gifts, we left coffee, we left a whole bunch of really cool stuff that little people could utilize. I think matches, some really nice stuff, a whole bunch of series of coffee beans, and he hit it. He hit the EMP thing, the EMP reader. So this is live. We're recording, and it's saying a couple things like "Hi, visitor," yada yada. And we finally ask it. So, does anybody want to represent as we leave these gifts? We just want to. what we were saying was we want to change the narrative with you guys. We want to start a new relationship where we're coming at you with nothing but love and respect, with gifts. We're sorry about the past, nothing to do with it, and let's forge a new sort of relationship. So we left our gifts. We're saying this stuff out loud. Now, Nick has been to the free pound thing, and he investigated this as a paranormal researcher years ago. And he made the mistake back, like a lot of ghost hunters will do, and sort of try to say aggressive things just to force the evidence, right? And he
Yep.
had some very bad experiences late that night in his hotel. And he approached me before we went out and said, I need to make amends with these guys. How do we do it? So this is the initial impetus of this investigation that we did. I was like, bring your equipment. We're going to go where I think they are here in Connecticut. And I think they're spread throughout New England and the Great Lakes. They're not just in Massachusetts. Okay. So again, animals don't follow triangles. Okay. They just don't. They don't follow state borders. That's nonsense. They follow resources, water, and game trails. So we're trying to get this stuff going. He's got his lovely wife with him, Amy, and they're doing all kinds of stuff. She's a psychic medium, so she's getting impressions and this one rock, and so we did an investigation. We're getting this crazy back and forth, the magnetic the EMF, the electromagnetic frequency detector, and this thing, and we had a voice box going. So this thing is making voice boxes as well. And as we got into the caves that I was talking about, that's where we left our gifts. And it was a long, I would say this went on for 10, 15 minutes as we're asking questions, getting responses. But the big one was, I am chief. And what my feeling from that was, we're okay. We're gonna allow this and see where this goes. They were sort of saying, okay, I'm in charge, and this seems okay. That's my impression.
Hmm.
Now I
Okay.
need to talk about this because camera person will kill me if I don't.
Okay.
Okay. Our last three investigations, we talked about the preserve that we went to. We didn't find much. It was brand new. I did fall on my keister, and everybody sort of laughed at that. So there's your comical moment. Um, but the Prospect Mountain Preserve, and then we were at that place that I like to chill at, White Memorial, off of the Bantam River, off of Elaine White's Road. There's a little side street. You'd have to look for it. Across from the boat launch, and it's set up sort of for kids. They call it the Nature Trail, like all these other millions of places, right? They didn't even try on this one. We're in there just relaxing, just chilling, enjoying, the weather, the finally nice weather. Rain had stopped, and this was just several days ago. Okay, so I'm going to go with the White Memorial and then go back to Prospect Mountain. I'll make it quick. We're in White Memorial, just at one of my favorite places. Just looking for small things. I mean, if I see a newt, I'm like, oh, there's a newt. How cool is that, right? And try to catch the guy, bring him up, and put him back in. Well, I notice tracks. I'm always looking for tracks. And camera person's got a real eye for this. And I'm sort of, my mind's, and I just can't help it. I'm like you guys, I look for deer tracks. But you don't notice the big freaking oval next to it, right? Camera person did. And I say camera person because they want to be left anonymous. I don't know. It's their thing. So, there is this imprint of same size. It was a human type imprint, right? Footprint. And the odd thing was, so this, imagine, is right near a beaver dam, and it's sort of a mud sluice area where they're going to snap and turtles. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Hmm.
It's a portage for animals, beavers, muskrats, snapping turtles, turkeys, whatever. So in the muck of that, going down a good 8, 9 inches, was a print same size as my print, human, except that it had toe impressions and a heel impression, and that we didn't have plaster with us. Always, we were just chilling, right? Was not prepared for that. So that was crazy impressive. We got this all on video. I didn't have anything to measure, so I used my phone. So my phone, when I stood it upright into the imprint, it almost went the full length of the phone. It was a good 12 inches long, and it's about any of our size footprints, right? Except you could see the delineation of toes. And going down that deep, I put my foot next to it and tried to step on just several inches next to it, exactly parallel with it. And I put all my weight on one leg, and it didn't even go half the distance in that, right? Not even half. And again, so there's a beaver dam. So there's all these. You guys ever dug up a beaver dam? I have.
Hmm.
You know, at the bottom of these beaver dams are all these upright freaking sticks,
Yep.
roots. They use roots a lot to sort of anchor in the other sticks that they use straight. But by the way, there's all these sharpened sticks all over the place. If a human were to step there, and you wear boots most of the time, except for when you're sleeping or chilling at the beach, our skin is just very sensitive. You step in anything like that, you're going to get a really big laceration. So we capture this footprint. Same size as me, footprint wise, but the weight was probably double. We documented this, and as always, I say inconclusive, but I'm telling you guys that was not a juvenile, but that had to be, an adolescent squatch. I'm just going to say it like that. That's my impression. When I'm on record with CSIS, I'm going to say, a human, a bipedal hominid type footprint. When I say that, I'm telling you that's not a boot. We found a boot print further up the same trail, and I put my boot next to it. I found a footprint, and I went into the same depth, and I was like, okay, so that's human. This other one was right near this beaver portage, you know, and that's a good place to look for life. So that was recently documented. This was all within the last week, and I'm going to draw some similarities. So, less than 10 miles away, separated by only 3 days. We were before that at Prospect Mountain Preserve, the place that's on Cat Hole Road in Litchfield. Both of these places are in Litchfield. We're pretty far in there, and just off to the side of the trail, merging with a game trail in another area where you guys yourselves are going to look for deer tracks. I'm looking for deer tracks. I don't know why. I don't gear my mind towards squatches. I'm still deer tracks because that's the forage base, right? That's what they're eating. You find the forage base, you're going to find the apex predators.
Right.
There was another footprint almost identical to that, and we documented that. And I did the same thing. I had my phone next to it. I stepped in the same mud right next to it with leaning all my weight on one leg. And again, same size, about 12 inches, same width as maybe my feet. But my weight, and I'm a big guy, I'm two something plus, okay? It only went in half the distance at best. And these are within 5 to 10 miles of each other, separated by several days. Could have been the same thing. And my theory is, and I'm going to say it on your podcast, I'm just going to go out there and say mid juvenile towards later Bigfoots, Squatches are migratory in there. They're walking around. I've heard a theorist say they can do 50 miles in a day, and that's their territory, right?
Mm.
Generally, a 50-mile radius, um, a circumference. I'm sorry.
Do they not have?
So,
They don't really have a home range, or it's just a little bit bigger than some of the more adult.
my theory here is that you're seeing. Maybe we didn't see the whole picture. Footprints are funny, they could be standing on. I think these are again. So, White Memorial and Prospect Mountain. No hunting. Ideal place, and White Memorial is where we found that crazy nest. And I think they're rearing their juveniles in this area, in the no hunting areas, until they get big enough to get on the move. And maybe they're on the move now. They're big enough to get moving and
Well,
looking for game.
they're are they're not pack animals, right? So When they get to a certain age, do they get bumped out and then they have to go find their own territory away from, and then that's how they spread? Or do they stay in the family territory their whole life?
So they've been described as in troops, right? Like family units. A lot of gorillas will display this. Several families will work together in a clan. But yes, when the males get to be towards apex,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of animals, they will force them out because they're going to get aggressive with the younger ones. They're going to be sexually active and want to reproduce, and that's not good, right? That leads to inbreeding even in animals.
Mm.
And a matter of resources, and yes, to spread out the population so that they can start, new turf. And they're going to do what all animals do when they get kicked out. They're going to steal, the apex males are going to try to steal some females and start a troop, and then that whole thing spirals and just continues.
Mm.
It's the way of animals, as you guys know.
Mm.
So I would say right now in our area in Northwest Connecticut, right now they're on, squatches are on the move. They are definitely here right now, and you might see one about 6 foot tall, and they might be with some mamas. And if
Mm.
you're unfortunate enough to get into the big bad daddies, they might not be in a good mood with their kids.
Mm. I have another question, kind of separate, but I got to ask. So, is there any reports of clashes between different cryptids? Because I like Dogman's aggressive. The puck wedgies can be a little mean. Like, is there ever any reports of them clashing amongst each other, or do they just avoid each other altogether?
Oh, there are reports of clashes, especially the big fellas between Dogman and Squatch. You're looking at, as you guys yourselves, I ask you guys whenever we talk about deer populations. So I'll do it right now. Are the deer populations up or down in Connecticut?
I think they're declining.
They're declining.
And turkeys too. You think they're eating turkeys too?
I see less turkeys than ever. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Who's behind that? Is it the puck wedgie?
Dog man.
They are, but I don't. They're small. They're gonna probably go after rabbit. Don't forget these. We talk about their arrowheads. They're tiny, tiny.
Little, yeah.
I mean,
So
for them, a squirrel or a chipmunk or a trout might be just plenty.
Mm.
But to get back to your question, yes, especially in Dogman Encounters Rated, my boy Vic Cundiff, he's awesome, and I highly suggest checking him out. He's done much more research on
what's
this
his
than I
name?
have.
Dick what?
Vic Cundiff on Dogman Encounters Radio.
We're gonna get him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys got to get him on.
Vic,
And
what,
Dark
what?
Waters, Vic Cundiff, Dogman Encounters Radio.
Mm.
That's a good one.
That is a
Start
good
at the beginning. It's fascinating. He later added Bigfoot, but he did the whole Dogman thing. He's kind of the authority. Him and Dark Waters are the guys. Dark Waters with his migratory map. I could look at that. I could watch that episode, and I do. I'll just keep my mind fresh on what he's got to say. But again, we get our own reports, and that's interesting. A lot of these people, they find us because they don't know where to go.
one.
And for whatever if they're in Connecticut, and that's what we get, Connecticut reports, they're going to find us before they find the BFRO or these other groups. And shout out to the Cryptid Investigations of Appalachia. Those guys are awesome.
um I definitely wanna say that I truly honestly respect the fact that, you really stay in your lane as far as like you wanna only find, historical data for cryptides. Like that's your thing and I respect it. And I know you said that you get kinda people kinda give you crap about it, but I think it's a good thing. I like the fact that you stay where you feel comfortable.
Well, because of my fascination with biology, right? I mean, that's where I don't all of this weird stuff, even the portals and stuff. To me, there could very well be a very good, solid biological explanation for this. You talk about disappearing, and I'm sorry, but even a bear, right? Even a deer, you see that freaking deer, you guys get and then it's gone, just because it blends in. It didn't transport itself to California or something. It's right there. It's right there. You just can't see the freaking thing. And I say it again. I'm not. And I'm gonna say it repeatedly because this I gets the most flack. I'm not saying that isn't part of it because it is. People report that even to us. I get the craziest reports. But I keep it, as you talk about my lane. My lane is Connecticut and trying to bring it into the realm of biology.
Right.
Understanding from the beginning that cryptids are just an undocumented animal. And
Hmm.
that makes it sort of a fringe science. And that's unfortunate.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know why. If it's a biological creature, right? We're not talking aliens and UFOs and ghosts and all that stuff. Like we're talking biological DNA, blood, flesh, hair.
It leaves footprints. You
Right.
can hear it. It makes structures. You can see it. It's eating. Okay. And relation, I just, there are plenty of people. And one of the reasons when we started CSIS, didn't get into that because there are hundreds and thousands of people and groups that research the paranormal. You got MUFON with the UFOs. I mean, I'm not going to be able to compete with that. I don't even want, it's not even a
Hmm.
competition. It's an
Right.
overlap of knowledge. But I thought this is where I could bring something unique to the table because Connecticut had very, very, very limited stuff on its own cryptids. And that, we certainly changed that. We changed that forever because there's a lot going on here, and that is our lane. So I'm not, again, not ruling out portals, UFOs, or any of that stuff. We just don't need it
Yeah.
for us.
In
There's
CC.
plenty of stuff out there that we find.
Right.
Golf balls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
golf balls. And this is the thing. So going back on golf balls real quick, as I think a big thing with golf balls potentially can come from some other places, but you have to remember that coyotes in themselves love to scavenge for certain things. So what's to say that Dogman isn't moving these things around with them?
Playing as entertainment.
Yeah.
Orcas are putting salmon on their heads, dead salmons for like weeks.
Mm.
Dolphins will mess with puffer fish, get a little high from them actually because they give off a slight toxin. So
Mm.
they're partying with puffer fish.
There's nothing
And
wrong with that.
crows.
That's all.
Crows will, if you feed crows, they'll gift you. You can gift crows.
Yeah.
I don't gift them because my dog chases them away. But they do come here. They will yell at me, leave me some bread. I always leave them something. And you can gift crows. And some of the things they give are shiny rocks, you know, canned bottle caps, any glass pieces of glass, or just weird looking things. I saw a woman got a nice silver crucifix. One crow left the guy money, dollar bills and stuff.
Yeah, you've
So the
seen.
golf balls could just be something they see us doing. They see them on the golf course and they're like, what is this? It's shiny white or even sometimes fluorescent.
Hmm.
Pick it up. I mean, they're just like, what the hell is this thing? Maybe throw it at each other. Could be a projectile for them. But we find toys, and I'm sure you guys find toys in the woods,
Mhm.
right? Piles of toys.
That actually makes sense too, because I play golf and I lose golf balls quite often. And this whole time, maybe Dogman was running out there taking my ball. I know.
With juvenile Sasquatches throwing them at each other like
Right
kids
here.
will
Where's
do.
my golf? Where's my Titleist number 2?
I got a Nike number 2 for you. For 30 grand, we could let it go, but we have to talk. I know what I got. It's Squatch related. It's evidence.
Maybe that's what we should try to leave for gifts for Dogman. We couldn't figure out what to leave him. We'll leave him golf balls.
Golf balls.
I like the dog biscuits. Maybe some of the big leather chew
Maybe,
toys, like
maybe
the big
not like the biscuity ones, like like the I
big
don't know,
rawhides.
yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta leave maybe some like bacon bits or whatever it is, bacon's whatever. I
Oh,
think
stop
they want some meat. They don't want that
it. They don't want that.
crushed
Don't
up.
make enemies. You know, are you guys looking for this guy?
No, not now. I want to find a puck wedgie is what I'd really like to.
You got to get into the glacial erratics where piles of them, piles and piles of them are, and they make like these artificial caves and stuff. You find a good opening.
Mm.
Get your phone out so you can get some
Yeah,
EVP. Now they
talk to Chief.
they exhibit some crazy supernatural stuff. The pucks, they really do it, and I just have to say that's part of the reports of them that always have that with them.
Hmm. See, my goal would be like, you're talking about like Dogman and the Coyotes working together. Like, I could see me and like a couple like puck wedgies like tearing some woods up together.
Hunting down the big buck, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I don't know that they're hunting bucks. That's
Oh,
overkill for
we
them.
could teach them some stuff. I mean,
Turkeys, maybe. You
mm,
know, maybe leave. You know what? If I wanted to leave a puck wedgie a cool gift, I would get the smallest arrow I could find. The
ooh,
tiniest, teeniest
like a
little
two
arrow.
turk or bigger or
Man,
smaller.
as small as you can get them.
All right,
Squirrel size, you know?
I'm gonna have to hit a Bodaddy for some custom arrows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
and they
Yeah.
seem to be white quartz, and you leave those. But remember, talk when you leave these. Don't just leave and say, "Oh, I want to see what happens." If you're there and you're leaving gifts, you want to communicate. Talk to them. This is my intention. Get some kind of recording thing, or just return and see if the freaking things are gone. No other animal is going to take pennies, arrows, just something intelligent like us. If
Mm.
it's a tool, only something like that would take them.
I'm gonna do that.
And if they're missing, then what the heck? How do you explain that? And I guarantee you they will be missing if you give it a couple days.
Colin, can you do me one favor, man? Can you just leave us with a squatch call before we end this great podcast, just so everybody knows some clicks and some calls.
So, okay, well, I have nothing to whack a tree with, right?
Yep.
But that's one thing we do. We get a nice piece of wood, we find a nice solid tree, and we
There's one right
whack it.
behind you. There's one right there.
Well, I do this. I do that. One thing I don't do that you'll hear in the History Channel and stuff, and don't do it, is they talk about clapping rocks together. If you do that like I did, knucklehead, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. I clapped those two rocks together and almost broke my damn fingers. The shock was so bad. And I'm a painter, so I need, I'm holding brushes and rollers and trying to make fine lines. My hands hurt for at least a week after that, solid week.
It's like a
What I
base.
do now, they tell you that. Yeah, clap rocks together. You're going to hear this from like all the guys, like Jeff Meldrum and stuff. He's going to say, well, one of the great of communicating. Well, no, don't do that. I can tell you from direct experience with our rocks. Maybe in California, their rocks are different. Ours are they're gonna send a shockwave through your hands. I take the large rock and throw it at another rock. No, there's
Smart.
no.
And
When you
don't
want
work.
to call tap,
And don't
before
work.
I go, I
Right.
want to ask you guys a question. It's been burning in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
You guys had mentioned when you go into the forest, the flashes, and I feel like I didn't ask you guys enough about that because later on I was like, that's fascinating. I want to know, does that happen a lot? Does it happen rarely? What are the conditions, and how impressive is this? And what's your theory on that? And then I'll do my howl.
That was you, Trev. I think. Right. I got the hide behinds.
I want to hear about that, and I want to hear about the flashes in the forest. So I asked the flashes in the forest. You go first, and then I want to hear about the hide behinds because
Flashes in the forest. So I don't think that they're a lot, but they definitely do happen from time to time. Definitely seeing some type of flashing. It's not on the regular basis, but you definitely do see it from time to time for sure. And not very bright neither, you know. But it
not
does.
artificial, not
What's
headlights.
no, very faint,
Is it like whitish, like a?
whitish. Yeah, not yellow. Very white. Very quick, subtle, fast.
And
White.
does it repeat?
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know of any pattern of it.
And is there maybe a particular season, or it just happens randomly? And that's all I'll ask.
It's usually
Mm,
what Trev's
What is
about to
your
climb into somebody
What
else's
is
tree.
your theory about it? What is your theory about it?
well, you have to remember is most of the time we're in the woods in a lot in October, November. So I don't know if it's a lot. We don't spend a lot of time, and a lot of our time in the woods is during the day in the summer months. So that's the only time that we're really out there. So I don't know if it's in the other months, but I know of it in those months, and I've had it happen a couple of times
Fascinating. And it's always before dark, before the sun comes up.
before the sun comes up. Yep.
Wow. Now, we talked about the hide behinds, and that was the first time you had heard about them
Yeah,
from
I didn't know they
me.
were real.
You had experienced them. So tell me about your experience, because that fascinates me as well.
All right, I still experience this. It's always on a main trail. It's not like I never experience it from my tree to the main trail, like walking through the leaves. It's always on the main trail, walking out. It's always walking out in the dark, never walking in the dark. Walking down the trail, heading to the truck. There's definitely something walking behind me. Like not chasing me, just step for step. Like I can hear my feet and I can hear other feet behind me. So I'll just turn around with the flashlight. There's nothing there. Like
Guiding you out.
you're an idiot. Like of course there's nothing there. Like what are you? You're crazy. So like all right, I just look. There's nothing there. Start walking again. I can hear it walking again. I'm like, look again. There's nothing there, and I'm not. It's not like I'm scared. Like I'm not scared, but I can definitely hear it behind me. If I stop, it stops. If I look, there's nothing there, and then after that, I usually just stop looking because I know there's nothing there. But
Right.
very often does that happen, and it's always coming out of the woods, never going in. I don't know why that is because I go in when I go into the woods. It's way there's more time between the time I go in till the sun comes up, like maybe 2 hours before daylight. When I'm coming out, it's closer to sunset, right? Like within a half an hour, an hour. It's only been dark a half an hour to an hour, but when I'm going in, it's like 2 hours before the sun comes up, and it's only when I'm coming out.
So, does it happen more often when you're taking game out with you, a field dressed deer or something like that, or does it just usually just happen anyway?
It usually happens, but just me coming out.
Just you coming out. Yeah.
Yeah.
No dragging of
Turkey
animals.
season, I see it too. It's not just in November too. Like I'll get it. So like say May, end of April, early May. I'll go roost. Like I'll go out in the evening to listen for turkeys on the roost, and I'll be out in the middle of the woods till dark. And then as soon as it gets dark, I head back to the truck, and I get it all the time doing that.
And
It's
you get it too.
we were talking with a good friend of ours, Chris, the other day, and he's seen a lot of hide behinds also. We were talking about it when we were out fishing, and he was talking about how the hide behinds, and I deal with it all the time.
Who's this?
Have you guys turned your cameras backwards like I suggested yet?
No, we haven't had a deer season since.
Oh, you're not like me. See, I go out all seasons. I can squatch all year round. In fact, it's funny because most of our evidence comes around this time of year, and you guys aren't even in the woods
I
unless
know.
you're outdoors, mean you're canoeing or fishing.
Right. Like
I
this
don't,
week.
I don't want to say you're not out there because obviously you are. So turn those cameras backwards. I want to see some evidence
Mm.
from you guys, our
And
new
we'll,
field investigators.
Hide behind is biological. Like is that are they invisible?
They are, they've been reported way back, and so I mean, they're hide behinds. There's vague descriptions of them, like the glimmer people, those things that are like transparent, like heat waves in the tree canopy. Look out for those.
Sometimes when you put your hand up because of your background, you look like a glimmer person.
I am. Oh my god, I'm a glimmer person. So that's what they're doing up there. You can.
Spirit fingers.
he
I
hit
have a
a
great
portal.
time with you guys. I am. It's a portal. I'm gonna hide behind. So listen, they're squatching. It's funny. The blueberries are just about to be ripe. Berries are just at their peak, and we're finding these squatch prints. Twice we found them, and it almost looked like the same damn print. To me,
which
it almost looked identical.
which is
Prime time. Prime squatching.
well, I guess we're gonna have to
Yeah.
do watch.
Colin, if you're around this weekend, we'll be up your way tomorrow night and Friday morning.
Where are you gonna be? What campground?
We'll talk off air.
Oh, send me your secret spot,
Yeah.
and there's a very good chance that Friday I can join you guys in the afternoon.
All right. I'll be around for sure.
Then we could do some
We'll,
squatching,
we'll
especially if
talk
you're.
after we get off. Well, after we end this,
All right.
and
And
we're
don't worry, your secret's not safe with me. Everybody in CSIS is going to find out about your exact spot. So I just want you to know that.
that's fine.
That's all right. We don't want the fishermen to know where we're fishing. The ceases can know where we're ceasing, but
You can
that's
I know some good.
shit
I
out of
know some good spots in the river. I live up this way.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll talk.
you know.
All right. So you want your
Don't
howl, and we're going to call it a thank you. Again, I want to thank you guys for having us on, and we promote the heck out of you guys. And just want to know to your audience now, you got two more CSIS field investigators. So find us some evidence, measure those footprints, look for structures. Now your squatching license is good all year, and it's a lifetime. And unlike Richard, it's free. So you
Nice.
got something to do, some another game to hunt, and that goes to all cryptids
I
all year.
I can't wait to run into somebody in a trailhead and be like, "Listen, I'm certified cryptid investigator, so get out of the way. Get off.
Yeah.
Get out of my way. I'm squatching the shit out of this right now.
Oh, ask them if they've seen anything.
I will.
And they're like, what? And then you go on, you say structures, call taps. Did you hear anything howl? Did you see something big? You know, and you might get stories. You might just be like, well, this is one of the hot spots, if you're on trail 2 in
Have you ever
Connecticut.
filmed that, Colin, or do you do that off
on
off
he
off
felt
Oh,
camera?
we do it. Anytime I come across an unfortunate person, that's always a chance to record them.
Oh
I
yeah, I'm
was
gonna do
I
this.
was in Haddam Neck State Park, and this unfortunate. We were talking about the Connie, the Connecticut River, like lake monster, right? But Connecticut River, like Nessie, because they're going to migrate with the shad. So this woman just came in front of us, and I was like, "Do you believe?" And she goes, "I believe." And she didn't even know what the heck she was believing in. She saw we were filming and had no problem with it. People are much more approachable than you would think they are, especially, here in Connecticut, we're not the warmest, we're not just like, hey, how
right.
you doing? Sort of, hey, but if you stop and say, have you heard anything or seen anything, ask them some questions and, get them biting on that hook and then hit them with the squatch, yank them in on the squatch, tight line them in.
All I can think about, Trev, is that pack of women we ran into in Rhode Island turkey hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you guys turkey hunt? Nah, squatch.
Watching.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Right. Is your license up to date? Where was it? Like in Patchogue on the Rhode Island side?
Yeah. So it'd be Arcadia, I guess. I don't know if that was close to the Rhode Island Connecticut line.
Yeah,
Oh, you got to try it.
we had some anti-hunters come in on us, and they had said to us, they said, well, we're not going to wish you good luck, and if we said, no, there's no good luck needed, we're going to squash the crap out of this place, don't worry.
No weapons. We're not killing anything. And if you tackle one, you get the $5 reward. It has to be tackled and subdued without, injury to the
Hog tie,
squash.
maybe like a small hog tie.
Tie them up with some 5X Tibbet.
Some 5X. I don't even know what that is, but 5X Tibbet, that'll work. Bring them in
I don't think
kind
it
of like reinforced rebar cage. You guys, you see these Appalachian and investigators of mysterious, the AIM guys. Have you ever watched them? The guys building these huge cages. Something like that would be ideal.
Oh yeah.
If you build us something like that, I'll forward the $5. Generosity.
Right.
Cool.
Hey, Colin, before you give us the Squatch Howl, can you just tell all of the listeners where they can find you? They can follow around with CSIS and check you out and maybe get their squatching license.
So we're on ConnecticutCryptids.com. And if you look up Connecticut Cryptid Investigative Society or the initial CCIS on any of that stuff, there is some corporation that kind of now is just inundated with Squatch reports. But you'll find us on YouTube's Connecticut Cryptid Investigative Society, CCIS/Connecticut. We're really all over the place. You just type in Connecticut Cryptid and you're going to find us or that guy with the silly children's book, whatever.
Do you have any merch, Colin? Do you have any T-shirts? CCIS T-shirts?
We have T-shirts and mugs. We got all of that stuff. We do have a store now. I don't have my CSIS T-shirt on But yeah, we got cool stuff with our
Sweet.
logo on it. Yeah,
I'll
we'll
feel
get
it. I
you.
gotta get
We
that.
got to get you guys some T-shirts when you're out there,
Right.
making people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. We and ours is. Can we get ours with that says like
A
license?
custom one?
Yeah, like a license or license numbers on them.
Oh yeah, we can do that. I'll customize one for you guys. Definitely. Yeah, we'll come up with like a big, like 7-digit number, and then the
Looking
then
for
we'll have one with an A and one with a one, so that you're both number one. Okay, I don't want a number two here. You guys are A1 team.
A1 team. We appreciate you, Colin. We truly, honestly do. I know it won't be the last time that we have you on, but we do thank you and taking the time to join us and talk cryptids. We absolutely love having you on. It's always a pleasure.
It is always a pleasure on this end as well, and I really want to hook up with you guys if you're there. I kind of know you're going to be camping in the area. I'll leave it at that, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, because there's some really cool places there, and that whole area there, Barkhamsted, I can squatch that just without a damn reason. There is a little spot. There is a little river that I know about. Nobody goes to, and it feeds into the Farmington River.
Little trib.
A little trib, yeah. You're gonna get some brook trout in there for sure, wild ones, and
Mm.
it's awesome. I know these little places, so if we hook up, and maybe the main river's not as active, we can hit that spot, and that's a squatchy little spot. And I've never been there, but I know the river's awesome. It's got the trout signs on it.
Nice. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Colin, can you give us a holler and then we will let everybody go for the evening?
Yeah, and so it's funny you asked the howl because now at our next convention we always get a lot of kids, and so my idea was that I'm going to have a little squatch howling
Oh,
contest to get
yeah.
the kids involved, and they're going to love this, right? And the audience is going to love it. We'll have our squatch meter, and of course there will be no losers, but we'll pick the number one howl and see what the kids can do. But I'll do a howl. I want to get a little bit away. You want my deep woods howl? I got several. I got the low one, and I got
We
the
need the deep
whole.
woods. We need the mature, big, deep woods howl.
You need the apex guy. When I went out with Richard, and I did the howl, I did whoop, and he said, "There it is." And still to this day, the camera person will do that. All right, I'm gonna do my the one that I want to travel. Like I'm up on top of Mohawk Mountain, and I want it to just go down. And with that, gentlemen, again, I thank you so much. I really appreciate this. You guys, nothing but love for you guys.
Same, buddy. Same.
You want to go bear hunting in Lubec with me up in Maine? My brother's a registered state bear guide. I'm going to get you up there.
All right.
For that.
That's gnarly. That you go through a forest bigger than Connecticut to get there. You ready?
Ready.
All right, guys.
Colin, we thank you and everybody else for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.